What's good, beautiful people? Welcome to Guerrilla Tactics, the only place where you can make guerrilla warfare to make change. Now, beautiful people, once again, we're doing another topic. This is a little more touchy. It's not going to be too long, but I wanted to get into a conversation and dive into a conversation about war. As you guys all know, the Ukraine is issuing a war against Russia. And the United States wants to help aid them and and pretty much helping them what's known as NATO, and or NATO, whatever, NATO, all that. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine and dandy. But let me ask you: when you wage war, does it create peace or just start more war? That's something to think about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Life just moves on. All right. Yeah. 3, 2. Beautiful people, we're getting into the topic. So the name of the topic is called Waging War. And in order for us to talk about this topic, especially with what's going on with us right now, we have to dive into the meaning of war. And one of the people I like to, use as an example is Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great may not have conquered the world, but he conquered all the aspect of the place that he was residing in. Conquered that whole entire space. You know what I'm saying? And what he did was he went on his own mission, his own personal mission, where he wanted to conquer all of the different tribal or areas that was, around where he was from. And he did. He took over all of that. But the aspect of understanding a war is through its leader. The king, the person that's in charge. For us, it's the president. For us, it's the branches, whatever the case is. They're the ones that's taking over as far as what our bylaws are and our laws are, what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. Now, with the question of the Ukraine wanting to attack against Russia, one, it could be many different reasons of why they decided to go to war. Maybe it was because they're deciding that they didn't want to follow what Russia wanted them to follow, and now Russia's trying to silence them. Who knows? But at the end of the day, they're deciding to take on a chance. But because they are so small and in their warring utilities and ammunition, soldiers, all of that is very low, they're going to need help. So they go to the strongest aid that they have, which is the United States, asking for us to now help them. You see what I'm saying? And in hindsight, because we are allied with them to begin with, it is probably better and smarter for us to help. But at the same time, are we helping for our benefit? And what cost does it take to help the other person? Now, going back to war and talking about Alexander the Great, he believed that a king has no bounds. In other words, what a king's ambition and fight is and his drive is, there's no excuse behind it. You shouldn't doubt what you decide to push forward on. And a king who doubts is a king that is that doesn't know what it means to set out to war itself, and having the ambitions to know what steps to take and what steps not to take. Now, if you look at it, even for, our president, he didn't really think about it. He knew that he wanted to help Ukraine and in any way that we can, whether it's to give supplies, whether it's to give soldiers, whether it's to teach y'all how to fight. But he was ready to help them out in the best way that he can. But when it comes down to war breeds different aspects. It's kind of like dealing with a science project. When you're dealing with a science project, you have these different forms of situations that bring forth to an end product. And I think I brought that up in another video once before. So when you look at it, every action is going to then cause another action, which is going to cause a reaction. You know what I'm saying? And that reaction could go either up or could either go down. So when you look at the war that we're in right now, or not us, but the Ukraine being attacked by Russia or whatever the case is, they're dealing with a force that's bigger than their own. When you're dealing with this type of force, you now have the thought process to You now have to have a thought process of what the next steps are going to be. Why are we taking this war? What is the meaning behind this war? Is this war important? How is it going to benefit us, or is it going to not benefit us? You know what I'm saying? It's all different things that you now have to pay attention to. Now, as far as the war goes, on my part, now what I believe, I understand why we're trying to help, but then at the same time, you have to think about the outcome, the overall bigger picture. What is the bigger picture of the situation? Is it going to go our favor? Our allies want us to fight, but we don't want to fight, so we're trying to aid. But what if they really need us to fight? Now we have to decide on whether we want to take action or we don't. Now, dealing with Russia is one of them hard-body forces where they just like, yo, all right, if we take a L, shoot, I'll sit back. But I ain't done. I'm coming back. Think about it like the streets. Like, how the streets used to be, before all these guns popping and people stabbing people and all that stuff. It used to be fights. It used to be, let's fight. Let's do this. Let's do that. You know what I mean? And the loser, they take they L, they're going to take their loss. But what do they do in the end? I'm gonna get stronger, start working out, start buffing up the whole nine, so they could come back and give it right back to them. You thought I was done? You thought the fight was done? Nah, I'm good now. Round 2. Feel me? So, that's the way that I'm beginning to look at it. You know what I'm saying? Because we can help them. You know what I'm saying? Even with you helping them, yeah, we're aiding them. We're NATO. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean Russia doesn't know that we aided them. Just as much as we know what's going on with Russia, 9 times out of 10, they probably know that we their aid. What if Russia decides to say, you know what? We're going to take them out, and after we take them out and overrun them, we're going after y'all next. But then you got to really look at it even deeper than that. What allies do we have besides the Ukraine? Not saying we don't, but I'm just saying in general, what allies do we have? Are those allies going to be strong enough to help us? How many enemies do we have? Do we have more enemies than we have allies? When you're looking at war is not just about grabbing your weapons, grabbing your guns, and winning the fight. Because, yeah, we could win the battle, but that doesn't necessarily mean we win the war. You got to think about what's consistent of, for a war. You know what I mean? So, looking at the situation that we're all in right now, the inside of the States is already on an uproar between COVID and the amount of crimes and, all that different stuff that's going on within state. You know what I'm saying? So for us to now go into another upheaval, it's going to worry a lot of people, but it may at the same time encourage a lot of people to push a lot harder. But what if it goes south? Then what? You're going to start putting guns in the civilians' hands? Are we all going to fight? Is it going to get to that point? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we've done many tactics from many generations, many years, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be beneficial. Sometimes things change, things might happen. You know what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with circumstances like a war, you got to look at the bigger picture. What is going to happen? There's a lot of people that support this situation. Veterans, non-veterans, so on and so forth. I've talked to many people about it. I just talked to a veteran today, and he said, honestly, I will do it. And I asked him, I said, give me your stance. Why you feel that way? Why do you feel like this is a good move? He said, because at the end of the day, it's bound to happen. So why not just end it and nip it where it starts? You know what I mean? And in a way, it makes sense. But then I have other people who have a different stance, including myself, where they feel as if, we should mind our business. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we don't want to repeat a situation where, we promised allies we were going to do something for them, and then next thing you know, we just bailed on them. Now, all of a sudden, our allies is our enemies. And now that's another enemy to pile on to the weight. You know what I'm saying? But that's the whole point to it all. How far are we actually strategizing in this situation? So when you're waging war, especially within state, out of state, whatever the situation is. You have to understand what the outcomes are going to be, not just for the army, but for the individuals in state, for the individuals out of state, and everything else that's to come. Because what happens if this starts a world war? You know what I'm saying? Then what? Do we have enemies inside state? How many Russians is in here? Are the Ukraine really in support of us? Because sometimes you can have people with false faces. You know, we need your help. But then when they finally get built up and they a strong warring country, now all of a sudden, or state, they want to fight you guys. Now we're going to take you out. You got us to where we needed to be, so now I'm going to get you back. You know what I'm saying? We need more power. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes your ambitions, they're good and they're fruitful, but it's all about what you feed your flower. See how I did that? It's what you feed your flower. If you're giving your flower, if you're placing your flower in good soil means the mindsets of the individuals. If you're placing your flower in good soil, that means now the flower is gaining the nutrients it needs from the soil, right? The minerals, all that stuff. But now, behind that, it's now up to what? For you to water it, for you to make sure that you replant it, put more seeds, seed repellent and all that different type of stuff, weed repellents and all that, constantly checking on it, so on and so forth, to make sure that the flower grows nice and healthy, correct? But you don't want to give it too much water, because if you give it too much water, what happens? It's going to start withering away because it's taking in way too much water. But if you don't give it enough sunlight, then what happens? It starts to die. If you give it too much sunlight, what happens? It starts to burn. So when you really look at it, there's a lot that comes to planting a flower. So now let's look at it as far as dealing with human beings, whether it's a state, whether it's dealing with a country, a state, a city, a neighborhood, wanting to be a leader in general. We have to have a thought process of what we're feeding our people. That's the whole entire point. You see what I'm saying? Because we can have a bunch of people who ready to fight, ready to rumble, ready to go win. But let's think about what happens after the fact. You see what I'm saying? Think about it like revenge. He killed my brother, so now I killed him. Now his whole family found out that he's now dead, and now I'm dealing with a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, so on and so forth. So now I'm fighting a whole lineage of people because I had to get revenge on one man. Now here's the thing. Is it just affecting me? No, it's affecting my family and everybody that's involved with me. You see what I'm saying? So now when you're looking at it like that, you got to think about it. We are one whole country, one whole state, right? One whole neighborhood, one whole group, one whole whatever, right? What are we feeding each other? You know what I'm saying? You got guerrilla warfare, hence the name guerrilla tactics. But you got guerrilla warfare. But what's it take to create that opening, to make that warfare work? You got to place fear in your opponent. But what if they not scared? What if they ready for you to ambush? What if they ready for your guerrilla tactics and attacks and stuff like that? What if they ready for it? You know what I'm saying? Then what? It's not going to work. Your guerrilla tactic won't work. Your guerrilla warfare ain't working. You know what I'm saying? So now you have to find a whole nother route of a situation to deal with. I think, was it Washington? I think Washington did some junk like that. Where they went to war. I forgot who they was going to war with, but they was going to war with somebody, and they tried to attack them while there was a storm or something like that. But it ended with Washington fleeing. He singly on a boat, bouncing. Like left everybody. So what just happened? You fed a type of hope in your soldiers, and your soldiers followed you. You see what I'm saying? But they didn't think far enough. That's like telling them, okay, make sure you duck low, get in close, this, that, and the third. But y'all getting shot by a berate of bullets. How do you dodge something like that? Is it a 50-50 chance of a situation? Or is it something that I could really, take upon myself to try to survive? You see what I'm saying? So now you got to think about it like that. So if we help Ukraine, What's the odds that they're not gonna know that we helped? And what keeps them from wanting to come at us next? What keeps them from then now talking to China, or talking to the Cubans? What's up? Yo, yeah, they just waged war. They helped the Ukraine. Let's get them. Now, even if we did win, what's the outcome then? Are we gonna win to the point where we take over? Or are we only gonna win to the point where we damage them enough where they had to now flee? Because if they flee, now their mindset is, you know what? I gotta get them back now. Let's get stronger. Let's get our soldiers. Let's do what we gotta do. Let's go back out and handle business. Then what? What we do then? How do we fight that? See what I'm saying? A war is not just in the mindset of the initial battle. It's in the mindset of what happens next. Can I get you here before I get you here? If I can take you here, I win. You see what I'm saying? So the mindset isn't, should we go to war or shouldn't we go to war? The mindset is what's the purpose? The mindset is, what is it gonna do? How is it gonna build onto something? If it's not gonna build onto something, is it worth it? That's the whole point to it all. So Alexander the Great, when he went to war, he thought he 100% within himself had the conviction to do it. His conviction told him that this is worth it, and he succeeded. The people fall in pursuit of the leader. You see what I'm saying? So if the leader comes in with strength and power, then the soldier's going to come in pursuit. But now you have to understand your people. See, Alexander the Great knew his whole army. He knew his people. So it wasn't just one of those matters of, oh, yeah, they following him and then they all got strong because he's strong. No, it was one of those like, yeah, this is Alan. This is Joshua. This is Benny. Yo, Benny, how's your wife? How's the kids? Yeah, I feel you. Like, he knew his people. You know what I'm saying? He knew their strengths. He knew their weaknesses. He knew how to deal with the circumstance. He wasn't dumb. Let's learn the terrain. Let me see the maps. What's going on with the maps and everything that's around us? I need to know what I'm dealing with and why. Let me gauge the person. Guerrilla warfare. Boom, go in. Who, this, that, and the third. Gain as much information as you could possibly get. Then what? Let's build from there. Let's do the next part. You see what I'm saying? So the reality of the situation is that if we're going to take a battle, what kind of battle are we taking, and what is it supposed to enhance or build on? Those are all the questions. You know what I'm saying? Waging war is a mindset. Waging war is a physical prowess. Waging war is a leadership beyond leaderships. Waging war is the aspect of understanding the premise. You can't read a book and understand every aspect of what it's telling you if you don't pay attention to the details. Okay? In order for you to truly get it, you have to understand it. If you don't understand it, you can't build on nothing. So yeah, we want to aid them. You know what I'm saying? But Russia's forces is way bigger than Ukraine's. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it honest. Keep it funky. Because of that, what is the Ukraine going to do? How are they going to fight? How are they going to push? You know what I'm saying? So what are your stances on it? How do you feel? Do you think that we should wage war? Do you think that we shouldn't? Should we mind our business? But if we mind our business, it could be an up or a down. If we mind our business, and don't help them out, and they lose, Russia's forces get bigger. What happens then? So you have to weigh out your options. You know what I'm saying? It's like picking your poison. But no matter what, you're getting a poison because there's going to be a reaction that comes in the end. How bad the reaction depends on your strategic plans. Y'all know I love anime. So I'm going to talk about Naruto, for example. When they had the Great War going against Madara, going against Obito and all of them, they was fighting with everything they had. The strategist was all the way was inside of the village making sure they conducting all the plans, telling everybody what to do, this, that, and the third. But they were like, I guess they were like the generation from before, not the younger generation. But they was back there doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? One slip can mean a lot. They didn't know what was going on. The enemy somehow powered up on random and was able to shoot a nuclear freaking weapon right at the village. And it was so fast that the individuals that was there, that was giving all the orders, they can't move fast enough. So what happened? They died. They died. And it changed the whole tide of the war. Now, Naruto and them, of course, they won. I mean, they're protagonists and all that. So, you know, they was going to win no matter what. Plot armors, guys. Plot armors. But at the end of the day, when you look at war in itself, anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? 1 minute you could be on the floor handling business. But who knows if that's a distraction. Let's distract you here on the battlefield. We go around and take out the main force. Let's take out the city itself, the state, the country, whatever the case is. Let's take it out from the inside. Let's go around. Let's find a loophole. You just never know. You know what I'm saying? So there's many different stances that you could go about this war. And Ukraine could win. They could lose. Russia could win, want to wage war against us next or whoever. But at the end of the day, what changes is going to come from it? You know what I'm saying? And these convictions that we're building on, the things that we're trying to enforce, how is it going to affect us at the end of the day? Yeah, they may be doing their part on their end, supporting Ukraine, they fighting and doing all that, but we also have to be prepared on our end. You just never know. You know what I'm saying? So waging war, it's not as simple as that. Shoot, we knew that from when we was younger. I had a whole house war back when I was in middle school. Yo, it was serious. See, my middle school had different houses. What I mean by that was like house 1, house 2, house 3. I think it was like up to 8 or something, or 9 or something like that. Or maybe more. I don't know. But we had these different houses and we were all split up to different houses. I was in house 1. Hey, house 1. House 1. House 1. Yeah, but I was in house 1. I was in house 1 or whatever, but I was the leader. It was me and my peoples or whatever too. And it wasn't normal. We had guerrilla warfare. We had everything that you would deal with a real war, but in a middle school. You know what I'm saying? And then the final battlefield was in like the middle part of the whole entire school, in like this little sun area or some junk like that, where everybody will go out sometimes. And they'll have like little meetings or little outdoor things going on or whatever. And we all brawled right there, right in that middle spot. But before that happened, it was the word of mouth. It was the rumors. It was all that going on. We had people trying to do guerrilla warfare, going inside people's houses, peeing on their lockers, and trying to write graffiti all in their stuff, the whole nine. And it was a strategic situation the whole entire time, all the way up until the end. Now, granted, everybody was bruised up and beat up and the whole nine. And we all was all in a conference, the conference auditorium with the principal, like, who did it? Someone speak. Nobody was talking. We was all like, nah, forget that. You know what I'm saying? But, it just panned out in our favor. But it could have went south, depending on how bad or how good the situation was. And it wasn't bad enough to the point where they felt like they had to press it too hard. But that's the point. You see what I'm saying? We waged war. The war happened. We so happened to scale by it. Now, what if it went south? What if like 3-4 houses aside of the house 1 started? Yeah, the whole house 1, they did it. What if they started throwing out names? What if somebody was scared and they just started snitching on everybody? Then what? You know what I'm saying? So you got to really look at the whole picture when you're dealing with different circumstances. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we could go NATO. We've done it plenty of times before, but who says that protects us? It doesn't protect us. You know what I'm saying? We just didn't jump in the fight. But that doesn't mean that Russia won't be like, well, I know the United States definitely helped them. Oh yeah, United States definitely helped them. The U.S. definitely helped. We're going after them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta really think about it. So the aspect of waging wars versus the mind. If I can psych you here, I can win. How do I psych you here? By knowing your habits. How do I take your mind? By attacking the things that ruptures your spirit. If I could break your spirit, I could break your battle. You see what I'm saying? Because you're going to start slipping up. You know what I mean? So it starts with here. After it starts from here, it starts with a little of your actions, but dependent on the steps. You see what I'm saying? Everyone's affected. Whether you believe it or you don't. Whether you agree or you don't. Everyone's affected. And the outcome can be anything. The problem with a lot of human beings, humans in general, is that we refuse to adapt until we're in a crisis, until there's a circumstance going on. And that is very bad. We're supposed to adapt on a daily basis, but we're too stuck up on things that we think we know, where we have all the answers. We don't. All of us are here on this planet right now, all learning, all trying to understand life, all trying to understand who we are, what we want to be, so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? Not one of us in this planet, period, is more innate and smarter than anybody else, because you're learning just as much on this journey as anybody else is. You see what I'm saying? So when you start thinking you got all the answers, when you start thinking that everything is set in stone, it's black and white, and this, that, and the third, is what I said. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. You refuse to grow. And if you refuse to grow, that shows a sign of ignorance. You see what I'm saying? I could be the strongest dude in my school. I could be the strongest dude in my neighborhood. Then I decide to go out of my neighborhood. Now I'm in New York. I'm in the Bronx or Brooklyn. And then they shaking me down. I can't fight back. I'm scared. I could be the strongest hand-to-hand combatant. But then I'm fighting somebody who want to pull out knives and spin freaking spears and whatnot. Or pull out a gun and start shooting my kneecaps. Then what? There's many different forms to it. And I'm not trying to be violent, but I'm just saying there's many forms to every situation. If you don't know what you're dealing with, then you're going to get yourself caught up. So let me ask you, is it worth waging war? And if it is, what war should we wage? But at the same time as waging war, what price did we wage? Then what? What's it to a man to gain the world and lose his soul? So I just brought this topic up because this is something that's been talked about. And many different people got many different spins. Like I said, some people agree that we should take this fight. Some people agree that we shouldn't. Some people say, yo, you know what? Forget it. Let's go all in. Let's put all the chips on the table. You know what I'm saying? Now it's just a roll of a dice. You know what I'm saying? But who is us to play God? None of us is God. We don't have all the answers. He only has the answers. You know what I'm saying? So all I say is that prepare yourself. Prepare your mind. Prepare for anything. Whether it's good, bad, beneficial, or not. Prepare. You see what I'm saying? Don't adapt when it's too late. All right? Thank you so much for joining the Guerrilla Tactics. It's the end of that topic. I thank you so much for, all your support, your love, the whole nine. But beautiful people, I got to continue building on this business and making it where it needs to go. So I want to tell you all you guys right now that I'm going to be doing Instagram lives every single Sunday at 4 or 8 o'clock. I'm shooting for 4 o'clock. If it's not 4, definitely 8 o'clock. And I want you guys to tune in because that's going to be the even more raw, uncut, where we can fully have that conversation and indulge with each other. And guys, while you guys are on there, if you can, please shoot a donation. Because in order for me to make Guerrilla Tactics build into what I'm trying to create it to be, I need funds and I need you guys to help me out in order for me to build it up, because I need to get new equipment. I need to make sure I have better space. I need to make sure that I got all the sound and everything in order. But in order for me to do that, I have to build. So please, if you can, please shoot a donation inside my Instagram live when you jump in onto the live, or you can hit up my Cash App, which is Tychee24. Or you could join on to my Patreon. My Patreon has all the exclusive behind scenes, things that you haven't seen, so on and so forth. You can interact with me over there as well, and everything else. Please check out my Instagram page. My Instagram page is where I have all my promos and everything else that I have for my channel. You know, even some personal stuff as well. I do like little videos and stuff like that for me and my baby, my wife, the love of my life, everything else. I talk about a lot of different stuff. If you DM me, I'll respond. I want to hear what you guys got to say. You know what I'm saying? I need you guys to comment and like and subscribe and everything, because in order for me to build Guerrilla Tactics the way that I want it to go, I need your input. The whole purpose of my videos is so we can have a discussion, so that we can all use our minds and think and talk. I'm not saying that any opinion is wrong. You know what I'm saying? But let's have a discussion on it. If you have a different feeling than I do, then let's talk about it. Why do you take that stance? I need to understand you as much as I want you to understand me. But in order for us to understand each other, we have to stop trying to combat and make people think that they're wrong and I'm right and all that other different stuff, and just talk. I might teach you something. You might teach me something. But we can't do that if we're playing in ignorance. So guys, please, 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 please check out my social medias. Please donate if you can. I love you all, and I thank you so much. God bless and stay safe. Yeah. Life just moves on. All right. Yeah. 3, 2. The beginning of the secrets to the life that you needed. Looking in my own eyes, knowing I couldn't defeat it. All the feelings in my soul, all my thoughts untold. Looking for the road leading to the streets of gold, and now